friends, how are we? Are we all okay out there? I hope you are. I hope you're all fit and well and ready for some more beading. So if you remember then in my last video, I made the zigzag bracelet. Lots of different colours. I made them and I hope that you went on and made lots too. So in that video then I showed you, I think it was this bracelet that I made using the Par Puca Amos beads. Right, so I'm just going to show you a couple then. So I made a pinky one and I made a bronzy and purple one. Now this one you can see isn't as supple as these, because this one is made with tiger tail, and these ones are made using a needle and thread. So there is two ways of doing it, and I will give you a heads up on how to make both, but predominantly I'm going to be showing you how to make the thread one. So what you will need then, if to fit a 7-inch wrist, which is what I am, up to a 7-inch wrist, you will need 28 of the Par Puca Amos beads. Okay, and they come like this. I'll show you. I've already got my little mix together because today I'm going to be using two colours. So the Par Puca Amos beads then are like a little teardrop shaped bead, and they have two holes going through them. Okay, coming out both sides, so two holes going through them, predominantly at their pointy end. And putting these together with some seed beads gives us this lovely little designed bracelet, and on it is really cute. It is really cute. And you can use a lobster clasp, but putting a lobster clasp on these bracelets like this one I've got here, you may want to use a little bit of an extender chain or put a few more jump rings on, just to give you that little bit of length, because they fit so snugly on your wrist, and this one you can see is a tiger tail one so it doesn't droop, can be a little bit tricky to put on. So I like to use a toggle clasp because they are far easier to put on your own. You just need to pop it through. But if you still want to use a lobster clasp, then please go ahead, but I would advise adding a few extra rings or a little extender chain. So for this design then, you will need 28, like I say, 28 for up to a size 7-inch bracelet. If you are a little bit wider in the wrist, add a couple more. You won't need much more length, but experiment and see what's best for you. You will need a couple of lobster clamshells. Now if you're using this type of clamshell with the little loops on the end, you will then need to also add a couple of jump rings, and I have a couple here because I'm going to be using the rose gold. So just a couple of 5mm jump rings. If you are using this type of culotte or clamshell that's got the little loop attached, you can just then go ahead and add your clasp straight to the loop. Unfortunately I haven't got any of the rose gold in this type. I do like this type. I haven't got any of the rose gold in those. I've only got rose gold in this type, but they both work equally well, and that's all that matters. So for the threaded one then, you will also need some beading thread. Now today I am using Superlon in the size D because it matches my beads nice. You won't be able to see the thread. A toggle clasp, like I've already said. I've got a nice rosy gold coloured one here. 2 of the clamshells or the clots, whichever way you pronounce it, and a size 10 beading needle. I think that's all I need. Oh, and your 11 OC beads, that would help, wouldn't it? You can't make a Par Puca Amos beaded bracelet the same as mine if you haven't got the sea beads. So some sea beads. So I'm using Toho brand today in like a, unfortunately I cannot give you the colour if you wanted to use the exact same colour as myself, as I bought them in little baggies and they didn't have the colour code on or anything, so I cannot give you the exact colour, but all I can explain them to you being is a bit of a dusty minky colour, but go really quite well with my beads, so I'm happy about that. Anything else I need to tell you about? The beads, 11 OC beads, 2 clots or clams, a clasp of choice. I'm using a toggle clasp, 2 5mm jump rings because of my clot ends. If you're using these ones you won't need the jump rings, and your thread and your needle, and I think that's about it. If you are then going to hang around to see how this one's made, this one is made on the tiger tail a lot quicker than what the threaded version is. For that one you will need some tiger tail. Get the supple one, guys, if you can, because there are different ones. This one's a little bit more supple than this one. Can you see? It's just a little bit more supple. I'm going to be using, to show you today, this bronzy coloured or goldy coloured tiger tail that was from Jewellery Maker. You will also need some crimp tubes, and then your clots and seed beads and the rest of the beads that you need. I hope that's clear for you now, but for the time being we're going to concentrate on our threaded one. Alright guys, so get all your bits and bobs together. Oh yes, tool wise you will need a pair of pliers just to help obviously open and close your jump rings, and a pair of scissors. Oh Jane, you're doing well today, aren't you? And a pair of scissors, which are on my other desk, and I'll have to nip over and get them. So you get all your bits and pieces together and I'll finish off getting my bits and pieces together, and we'll be right back. Welcome back then. Have you got all your bits and bobs together? I hope so. So let's get beading then, guys. So all I've done then is cut off about 30 inches of my thread. Put my needle in the middle of my thread. Taking our 2 ends, I'm just going to tie a simple overhand knot. Just a simple overhand knot. Normally we bead with a single thread, but because I don't want to keep going backwards and forwards, I'm using double thread in this project. So there's my knot. Just taking my knot down towards the end of my thread a bit and pulling up. Now if you want to put a dab of clear nail varnish on at this point you can do, but I normally wait until the end. So I've just got some thread in my knot. I'm just going to pick up then, I'm just going to make sure that my needle is still in the centre of my thread, which it is. I'm just going to pick up a seed bead. It can be a spare or it can be whatever. You're not going to see it because it's going to be sitting inside our clot. Just going to bring that seed bead down towards my knot, and then I'm going to, making sure I don't catch any threads, I'm just going to come back through that seed bead from the tail end through the seed bead, working towards my needle towards our working thread, and that will just then capture the bead. Now, just before I close the loop up, I'm just going to bring my bead down towards my knot. There. So I've just brought my bead down to my knot. I'm going to hold that bead in place and pull my threads. And now our bead is caught on our thread and it's not going anywhere. Now this is going to sit now in our clamshell. So picking up my clamshell or clot, whichever word you use or you know it by, coming from the inside and taking my needle through. This way my bead will then sit in this little loop. Now you can cut off the excess thread at this point if you want to, but I'm just going to leave it for a little while. I'm just only gently going to push that together because I will be having to come back through that bead again when we come through the other side. Okay, that'll all make perfect sense. Now to start off, we're going to pick up 2 seed beads, the thin end or the pointy end of our bead, and we're just going to bring that bead down towards our clot. So this is what we shall have: our clamshell, our 2 seed beads, and our needle has gone through the pointy end of our bead. Picking up a seed bead, picking up my alternate colour now, but you could be using the same colour, it doesn't matter. And we're going to pick up the bead on the wider side. And all this pattern is very simple. We're just going to pick up, for me, alternate colours from the thin end of our bead, and then the next one will be the wider end. So seed bead and the wider end, seed bead and the thinner end, seed bead, wider end, seed bead, thinner end. So sometimes it might be easier to do it by alternate colours. It might help, but if you've only got one colour, you go ahead and use one colour. So and I'm going to use the wider end and the thinner end, and we're just going to keep on doing this until we've used up all our Amos beads. Wider end, thinner end, wider, thinner. I'm going a bit sing-songy, but it helps me. Oh dear. I want to be thin. I don't want to be wide. Oh dear. I hope I make you smile. I make myself smile sometimes. It's very... I'm used to this, you know, talking to myself. I talk to myself an awful lot. I don't know if you've got partners, boyfriends, husbands, and I can be talking to my other half. We've been together 24 years, and I could be talking to him, and honest to goodness, I could have been yapping for an hour, because I'm very good at talking. I could have been yapping for an hour about, you know, this, that and the other, and then I'll say to him, "What do you think?" And he'll go, "Pardon? Of what?" And it's like, oh my word, I've just wasted my breath. Oh dear. So it's as quick as that. We've already got to the other side of our bracelet. This is what we have. At the minute everything's all higgledy-piggledy, but don't worry, it's all going to sort itself out. Now, so we're at the other end of our bracelet then. We've used all our Amos beads up. So it's 2 seed beads going through our calotte or clam from this time from the outside in, picking up another seed bead and dropping it down to sit inside our clamshell. And we just want to now hold our bracelet and get our tension right, because we're going to come back through. We're going to skip over the seed bead that's in the clam. We're going to come down through the hole and through the first seed bead, holding everything in place. Now don't worry at this stage if it's gone a bit loosey-goosey. Just give your thread a little bit of a tug and a pull. We're going to pick up another seed bead and come through the pointy end of our next bead. And give it a little bit of a Yankee. Right, now we can close up this side of our beadwork, so just closing that clam, giving the end a bit of a pinch and close that clam. Okay, we'll add the clasp once we've finished beading our bracelet. And all we're going to do now, guys, I'm going to flip my work over. All we're going to do now is bead back the other way, just putting a seed bead in between our beads. And that's all there is to it. Honestly, you can get these bracelets done so quickly, it's unreal. All it is really is about keeping your tension. That's all it is, keeping your tension to come down the other side. How cool is that? And it looks so cool, doesn't it? The bracelet looks so pretty. We'll be able to give ourselves a clap when we've got to the other end. Won't we? Just flipping our beads over. Flipping our beads over. This is nice, easy bead therapy. This is. Because it's not complicated, you haven't got to worry about anything. You can't really go wrong. Can you really? You can't really go wrong. And if you're brand new to beading and you do struggle with tension or just getting it right, then if it isn't right at the end of it, just cut it up and start again. The only thing you're losing is a bit of thread, 30 inches. That's all we need. So your bead supplies are quite limited really. You don't need a lot of something to make this bracelet. Ooh. Dropping it is essential. You always have to drop your beadwork. Well, I do anyway. I always end up dropping it, or getting a knot in my thread, or Maybe if you're worried about your thread tangling as well, you might want to use a little bit of beeswax. You can wax your thread before you start. That helps. Or because I try and put hand cream, well, I don't try and put hand cream on, I do put hand cream on to try and make my hands look as best that I can. That sometimes helps as well. If you feel that your thread's getting tangled, just drop your needle, run your fingers along your thread. That also helps. We're nearly finished. We're nearly at the other end. Hold in there. We're nearly there. But you think I'm scatty really, don't you? I can't help my personality though, guys. It's the way I am. It's the way I was made. I have to admit though, as I've got older, if you've been with me for a while, you'll know about my brain fog. And it's nothing to, I do take the mickey out of myself a little bit. You have to, don't you? You do, you have to. So here we are then at the other end. So we're just going to pick one seed bead up, come through the seed bead that's closest to our clam, plus the clam, and if you can, come through the seed bead that's in the clam at the same time. If you can't, don't worry about it. We can sort that out after. I'm not going through the seed bead this time, it's not plain ball. So we'll miss that seed bead out for a second and just come through the whole of the clam. I'm just going to try, there we are, I'm through the seed bead. If it's struggling a little bit, get your pliers, give your needle a little bit of a helping hand. Missing the seed bead out, coming back through the clam, through a seed bead, for the next seed bead, as many beads as you can coming back towards your work. Pull your thread down. I'm just going to cut off this thread now, our tail end. And I'm just going to close our calotte. Giving it a little squeeze on the ball part, not to squash it, because if you go too far, squeeze too hard, you will squash it and break the bead inside. So it's just to make sure it's firmly closed. Okay. Now we're just going to tie off our threads. So I want to come through a few more beads. And then I'm going to start tying some half-hitch knots. So I'm just going to come through a couple more beads. To tie a half-hitch knot, I'm just going to pick up threads between them two beads, bring it till it makes a little loop, put my needle through, making sure, because we're using double thread, that you go through both loops, making sure that the thread goes between those beads. must have, because it's double, I must have a loose thread. So put, there you are, it's gone in now. Pull one side and pull the other. Carrying on our journey, going through a few beads. Putting my needle between the beads, picking up the threads, making a loop, put my needle through the loop, I think I've got a bit damaged thread. Am I seeing things? I think I'm seeing things. Yeah, I am seeing things. Makes a change, seeing things. Oh, going through some more beads. And it's up to you how many knots you like to put in. I like to put a minimum of 3 in, really. Going through another couple of beads. Or as many as your needle wants to go through. My needle's got stuck now. Just go through them. Picking up thread before our loops disappear, catching hold of it, pulling that thread nice and tight, and going through, because we never like to cut our thread, do we, right by where we've just knotted. So through a few more beads, and then if you want to carry on and make more knots, then you carry on and make more knots, as many as you like, but I like to do a 3. Just going to move those beads out of the way, and there we have our bracelet. So all we need to do now is add on our clasp. Now for me, like I said, I'm going to use a toggle clasp, but you can use whatever clasp you like. You could use a lobster clasp, but for me, like I said before, you want to add a little extended chain on the end. But I'm going to use a little lobster clasp, and because of the clams that I'm using, I'm going to add on a little 5mm jump ring. So getting our jewellery pliers into play, I'm going to open our jump ring from north to south, popping the jump ring through and adding on the first part of our clasp, closing our jump ring from north to south. And if you just go past the point of where the jump ring has been cut, it will normally, 99 times out of 100, it'll spring back and your jump ring will be very nicely closed. And then the other side, again, opening our jump ring from north to south, going through, adding on the other side part of our, oh, if I can pick it up, our toggle clasp, closing. Lovely jubbly. There we have it, guys. Give yourselves a round of applause. Well done. And there you have your beautiful, beautiful bracelet. Isn't it gorgeous? I think it's so pretty. Move that one out of the way a minute. I think it's so, so pretty. It's gorgeous. And you can buy these Par Puca Amos beads in lots and lots of different colours. Amazing. So I'm just going to quickly show you how to make a bracelet using wire. I'm not going to show you the whole thing. I'm just going to show you the basics, because really it's a whole new video. So you would get your wire, probably about cut off 20 inches and then cut it in half, so you've got two 10-inch bits of wire to work with. And first of all, you would get a crimp bead and crimp your wires together. And obviously you can add two, but just for today I'm just going to add one, because I'm not going to be finishing off the bracelet. Okay, then you would, I'm just going to nip the end of that off because it's a bit bent. I'm just going to show you with this one. So working from the inside out, you would put in then your crimp tube, your sealed end into your clamshell and close. I'm just going to get a few just to show you what you need to do if this is the way you're going to be doing it. So on one side of your beading wire, add two, come through one with the other side, and then the side that hasn't got the two on, add one, then holding your beading wires together, you're just going to add your first bead, a C bead on each wire, and then just making sure that the next one you put on is the opposite way. So you have that, and again another C bead on each. Oh. That one's blocked. I personally prefer the needle and thread one. And then making sure that when you put this one on, that it's been put on alternate. So that's how you would, I hope that was all in focus, I wasn't looking at the camera. Just do it once more just in case I wasn't in shot. So a C bead on each end, and then when you add your Amos bead, making sure it's facing the opposite direction of the one that you put on previously. So that is how you would do it. And then to finish off, you will put your other side of your clam on, just picking one out. I know it's a gold one. Going from the outside in. Add on your crimp tubes, crimp, and add on your clasp. I hope that makes sense. So you'd have two different types. But for me, I think this is a bit stiffer. And you do need to make sure that when you've got your three on, that the side that's the thinnest, make sure that your seed bead is on the, how can I explain this, on the outer edge of the bottom seed bead. Does that make sense? And then that keeps its shape nice. So there's a little bit of a space in between the seed bead on the thinner end to the seed bead closer to your clasp. I hope that makes sense. Really, it's another tutorial, but I just wanted to give you the option. And there you will have another bracelet. For me, on the wire, it does sort of give you more of the wave effect, whereas this one on the thread doesn't give you that wave effect, if you know what I mean, because it doesn't make it go, because this is, oh, I'm not making much sense now, am I? I'm sure you know what I mean, because obviously you're working with braided wire, it's going to be a lot stiffer, so it'll give you more of a wave effect. If I show you on here, so this is one that's been finished using the beading wire, and this is one with the thread. That much different, but you can see when you hold them together that they are a little bit different. So there you are then, guys. That's today's tutorial out of the I was going to say out of the way. I didn't mean it like that. I don't mean out of the way. I mean, you know what I mean. It's been done. And I really hope that you've enjoyed it and you go on to make lots. These Par Puca beads you can get from a majority of beading shops. Have a look online for Par Puca Amos beads and you'll be able to go ahead and make yourself loads of these because you get plenty in a bag. Next up for me is, I thought, summer. This is a lovely, very, very simple elasticated anklet. You can make it a bit smaller to fit around your wrist. I think they're very summery. And nice little daisies. Daisy. I won't sing again. Little daisy bracelets. But on the ankle it looks absolutely gorgeous. But you can make loads and put them all up your arm if you wanted to, or on your feet. Them are in size 8 CBs made with elastic. And then I did make a size 11 one. So a size 11 seed beads, and it's a little bit more delicate, as you can see, than the 8s. But in nice bright summery colours. And with this one, instead of being elastic, I used needle and thread and put some culottes on the end, and it's just awaiting a clasp, that's all. So that's one way. But I did think about, if you were using it for everyday use, then that's fine, but if you were going to the beach and something like this, then the metal would tarnish an awful lot quicker than what it would do if you were wearing it ordinarily. So then I thought, so that was the first one I made, so then I thought elasticated would probably be the way to go. So very much simpler to take on and off, and you can wear it at the beach and it's not going to corrode like that is. Although, having said that, the salt water and the elastic will, you know, obviously make it a little bit less durable. So there you go. So I think that's going to be my next video up. So all I can say then, guys, if you've enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up, and please subscribe if you're new and you want to see more from the crazy lady. I'm kidding. Well, am I though? Am I? So let's see those thumbs. Thumbs, 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 thumbs. If you're new to me and you'd like to know how to make this zigzag bracelet, I will put a link in the description box underneath the video. You should take a look in there. Sometimes I put well, bits of useless no, not useless, useful useful information down there. And if you'd like to make this ring I've been wearing as well through this tutorial, I will also put the link to the ring in there as well in the description box underneath the video. So until next time guys, take good care of yourselves and very happy beading. See those thumbs? Thumbs, thumbs. See you later guys. Thank you for watching.